And good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Week 2 in the NFL season. And we could see today it's another Modcast, Monocast, however you want to look at it, as our co-host is missing in action. Uh, with good reason, I would argue, and there goes a runner. They just all day. But with good reason. We'll get into that a little bit later. So it's just me today. Listen, last week 5-0. So the Modcast picks were on point, including Nap's Sleepy Dog lock of the week, which we're gonna have. Cue the barking. Good job, Pete. Which we're gonna have today. I got a good one, I think. So we'll start off like we always do. Let's recap the college picks from yesterday. Not good. Not good. 2-3, both of us. 2-3. Sticking with that theme, just to do a quick recap. Florida Napier Watch. He is still employed. LSU, the only game we both won together. They beat him, not handily, but they beat him. So it's another loss for Florida. But Billy Napier is still hired and still actively employed. South Florida, no longer the darlings as they lost to Miami. A bit of a drubbing. Only scored 6 points. So I guess now we don't talk about South Florida anymore. So they're out of the conversation. So whatever Bulls up thing they did, we don't hear that anymore. Otherwise, he was very close to becoming a South Florida Bulls fan. So we avoid that. So he'll pick another team. Bama did win, pretty resounding, 28 points I believe to Wisconsin. But we're not going to talk about Bama, especially if he's not here. Michigan rolls, 63-3. Underwood. 235 yards, touchdown, a pick in the air, 114, and 2 TDs on the ground. Again, the best quarterback that Dave Portnoy could buy. We appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for that. Michigan man, hail to the victors. UNC watch, Bill Belichick quietly doing what they have to do to set up that meeting with Clemson in 2 weeks. They are now 2-1. Clemson 1-2, losing to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a tricky team. I still think they run the option, but they don't. It's been years. So quietly, we could see UNC, the Tar Heels, against Clemson with the better record. I mean, that's going to happen. So we'll see what happens. Is Belichick's magic working? Or they played nobody. I mean, they played Richmond. They're the Spiders. I don't know. I'm not afraid of the spiders, although I am afraid of the spiders. We got these bugs now in Jersey, these kissing bugs where they kiss you on the cheek while you're asleep, and then 20 years later you die of like congestive heart failure. Anybody heard about that? Scary. We had one on the window. It was a full-fledged alarm last night as I was setting up for Halloween because it's that time of year. As I'm looking at a 15-foot giant out my window. Maybe we'll take a little quick picture of that before we leave today. One other thing in college that I wanted to talk about, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And who better to talk to about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish than my good friend Joey C., who hopefully is going to be calling in on the phone here. So actually, with the magic of television and radio, I'm going to just give him a call. And let's see if I can do this.
Hello, Joseph.
Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Unprepared Modcast.
Very good.
We just did a quick we being me because your friend is missing in action again. Good partnership there. Just ran through college and I was about to talk Notre Dame football and I said who better to talk Notre Dame football but one Joseph Chameleon.
Well, it was a tough night for them, for the Irish, for sure. But you know what? The SEC is the SEC for a reason.
It is. Did the last play of their game there for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Did that remind you of anything?
No, Jeff.
Well, it certainly reminded me of something, and you're being kind. It reminded me of a playoff game that we watched together many years ago, and there was an extra point that just needed to be made. It's a quick exchange. Happens with their eyes closed most of the times until it doesn't work.
My beloved New York Football Giants, yes? We'll not forget that.
And took a long walk home that night, I think.
Very long walk in the cold. It wasn't very fun.
Yeah, that was a very long. It was probably like 3 miles.
Yeah, listen, it was, but you know what? It gave me time to reflect on being a Giant fan and what disappointment means in sports. Kind of like you and the Cowboys.
Well, listen, I took my walk, the Romo,
That's right.
the
Right.
the Romo botch snap, and I was silent and then just left. Because sometimes you got to just leave.
You just gotta walk away, Joseph. You gotta walk away.
So Notre Dame being 0-2, I mean that's it now, right? Are we done with them for the year?
No, we're not done with them for the year because they gotta have a. Hold on, speaking of unprepared, let me go to my bagels. Hold on.
Go ahead. Order your locks and your schmear. This is live. This is live podcasting, guys. This is how it works.
All right, I'm back. I ordered the bagels.
There you go. He's got the good New York bagels.
Yes, we do. We certainly do. The water out here is different.
It's the water. It just hits different. Well, then let's go right into the Giants. Then let's leave college behind.
Oh, so we can go. We can stay with the Irish for one more little topic here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they got to go to Arkansas. That's going to be a tough game here.
Right.
But if they finish what 11-2 or 9-3, somewhere in that ballpark, that gives them a chance to maybe sneak in on the back end of things. We'll see. It's not over till it's over, Joseph. You don't score until you score.
You do not score until you score. And if my aunt had anyway, so the thing with this playoff now with 12 teams getting in, I do feel like the season isn't really over for anybody. For any of these big power teams. I mean, not that Notre Dame plays in a conference or anything, but that's another story for another day.
Well, listen, another story of the day, but they do get to sprinkle the wealth because they're going to get to play some ACC schools, some SEC schools, etc. So
true, very true. Very true. And one day they'll be a member of the Big Ten. So we'll deal with that when we have to. Michigan rolling yesterday, 63-3. We already talked about that.
Yeah, we took that. That was a win. That's one of the few ones on the calendar yesterday.
Yeah. Well, LSU still worked.
Yeah, that did.
LSU still worked. But as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Billy Napier is still employed by Florida. So there's going to be a Napier watch every week.
Yeah, not for long.
But speaking of your beloved Giants, another tilt that you and I have watched many a year together. Giants-Cowboys today, kicking off at 1 o'clock. Two programs in I would argue somewhat of disarray.
Yeah.
But when they get together, you throw out the records. You just throw them out. What do you think today?
Well, what I think and what I hope are two different things. I think Dallas is going to kind of impose their way today, and I think that the Giants' beloved are going to be calling for Jackson Dart to be coming sooner than later. So we'll see how that all goes. Not to mention the fact that I have the Cowboys, and so I'm like cheating on my wife with the Cowboys in the knockout pool today. So that's another thing. That's a very shallow subject. But I think that the Cowboys get it done. Speaking
of cheating on your wife, so this will be like a Trumpian weave. So your boy and mine, who's not here today, is going to the Jet-Bills game. Now, that's nothing out of the ordinary for him, as he's a Jet season ticket holder, and he would miss the birth of a child for going to that game. But he'll be sitting on the other sideline today in Bills apparel, cheering on the Buffalo Bills. And if there's not a bigger flip-flop and floozy moment than that, I don't know what is.
I kind of agree with you on that.
Could you ever imagine yourself putting on a Dak Prescott? I don't even have to finish it. You don't do it.
No, you don't. You just don't do that.
You just don't do that.
You just don't do that.
Well, he does it, and he will.
I'm sure Berger has a very good reason for doing it, if that is the case.
But
like anything else, there's a lot of fake news out there these days, Joseph. You don't believe it until you see it.
There's a lot of fake news, and it causes us all to question things. And since I don't have anybody telling me what I can't talk about today, I might get into some of that later on. But we'll see. This could end up on the cutting room floor, but. I do think back to the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have a lot more talent and they're actually better head coach recently than they have in recent years. So we'll see what happens. But listen, I picked the Cowboys.
My biggest takeaway from Week 1 was that their defense. I thought their defense was a lot worse than it was. The secondary, etc. And I thought they played quite well down in Philly too. They battled to the end. So
yeah, no, it's definitely reasons to be optimistic.
The Giants' offense is certainly not there, so we'll see.
But I'll say this: when the Giants had Saquon Barkley, as a Cowboy fan, every time he touched the ball, I was nervous because I felt like every single time he had the opportunity to break a tackle, make a move, and score a touchdown. And I was always thankful whenever Eli would drop back and pass. Right
Yeah.
now, the fact that the Giants are starting Russell Wilson instead of Jackson Dart, I almost feel the same way because I think Jackson Dart is going to be really good.
I think so too.
I think he's going to be really good, and there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about him.
Speaking of the Giants mush, you should talk about how Daniel Jones throws how many touchdowns last week?
Oh my God, Indiana Jones. He crushed it.
Who else are they going to get rid of that's going to go into the Hall of Fame?
It seems like once a year. So now hopefully next year it'll be a receiver, so they get rid of Neighbors, and he'll go to like Jacksonville and be like they'll be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's quite possible. Quite possible.
Do you want to do like a celebrity guest pick?
A celebrity with the points or without the points?
With the points. We're men here, Joseph.
All right, with the points here. So hold on. Let's just go to my little thing here. Hold on.
Survivor. We went all over the board this week in Survivor.
Which one did I take with the most conviction this week? Yeah. I hate to say it, but my lock of the week is the Cowboys.
I knew
minus 5.5.
I friggin' knew you were going to say it.
That was the one. That's the one that we were the most optimistic about this week.
I knew you were going to say that. But listen, it's a wise man that is willing to. You're not putting on a Cowboy jersey. You're not on their sideline, but you'll take that cash.
I would for that week. And you know what? If the Giants somehow, some way win, that's a happy way of spending money.
It's a happy accident. All right, Joseph.
That's what a real fan does.
Well, listen, we could discuss that till the cows come home, but like my partner is not a real fan of anything, so he's a flip-flopping floozy.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
All right, Joseph. Well, listen, I appreciate you joining the Monocast, whatever we're calling it, with some insights, Notre Dame football.
Bagels. So shout out to Bagels R Us. I'm online waiting to pay for my bagels.
There you go. Enjoy the bagels. Enjoy the football Sunday, and I'll talk to you later on.
You got it, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, and that was longtime friend. We'll just call him Joseph C. Because we don't really give out full names here. I don't know why. I mean, no one watches this, right? That's another thing. Real quick, the people that watch it, I appreciate you. He's always got, you don't have 1,000 people watching. It's like, what's the point? I don't know. The point is that people do watch it. People do enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. And last week, I went 5-0. I'm giving you winners. Brief pause and we'll be right back. So speaking of giving you winners, I guess that's a good natural segue, which I'm all about the natural segue, into the picks for this week. Week 2 in the NFL. Last week was great. 5-0. I don't know what you want from me. 5-0 last week. Week 1. Always tough to handicap these games in the beginning of the season. But again, there's storylines, so you kind of want to keep that in the back of your mind, assuming that the NFL has... I can't say schmixed or mixed, but it rhymes with schmixed, mixed, and Twix. But there are storylines that I think have some legs in the NFL. So I think that when I make my picks, I do keep that in the back of my mind. And just to kind of get into that, there's a team that I'm not picking today. I was actually considering them for Nap Sleeping Dog lock of the week. Cue the dog. But there's something about the Baltimore Ravens Cleveland Brown game that just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, that's the survivor pick of the week. That's the one that everyone's going to choose. And that's the one I want to stay away from and just let the carnage ensue. And I think that when you look at these games from different angles, whether it's the pick six or the confidence picks or survivor pool or fantasy impact, we haven't talked fantasy at all. But you watch these things happen, and you take the Bengals last year, and they get destroyed. You just lose these games, and then all of a sudden it's week 3, and these survivor pools are decimated. Last week there was no carnage. The carnage is coming. To me, that carnage could come in the way of the Cleveland Browns beating the Baltimore Ravens somehow. Staying away from it, that is completely out of this. But again, it got its own little piece of the segment. But the picks, here they come. First, we're starting close to home in Secaucus or East Rutherford. we got the Buffalo Bills circling the wagons because no one circles the wagons quite like the Buffalo Bills. It's minus 6.5. Give me the Bills over the Jets. Then we got Aaron. We're going with the Steelers. Minus 3. Might be a tough game, in my opinion, but I think the 3-point spread is a good number. And the Steelers at home with Aaron. Hopefully a connection to DK Metcalf for the fantasy implications. We're going Steelers. Another tough game. This is a tough week. Not as tough as last week, but a tough week. We're going to go with the Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals, not the Bungles. Minus 3.5 against an improved Jacksonville Jaguar team. They traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. Kind of curious move to me. But that's good also for those who have Tootin on their bench like I do when I drafted him in a keeper league. See if he gets a little bit more time to tote the rock. We'll see what happens. Again, Trevor Lawrence, it's this year or not. So we'll see what happens as they come off a riveting win against the Carolina Panthers last week. But give me the Bengals minus 3.5 at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then we're going with them boys.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys, Jimmy? We're going with them boys against the lowly New York Football Lady Giants in Dallas. Minus 4.5. We'll take the boys. And now that could only mean one thing is left to come. The Nap Sleepy Dog Pick of the Week. And that Pick of the Week is...
a team that is known as the Bears.
That's right. The Bears. So this is an interesting one for me. We're going to take the Bears plus the 6.5. Going against Uncle Joe. Well, Uncle Joe teased the Lions down to a minus a half, but reasons. Not a huge Caleb Williams fan, but I do think that they showed some things last week against the Vikings, and the Vikings are a very good football team. They're very well coached. They have a lot of talent on offense. They have a lot of talent on defense, so it wasn't a cakewalk for them. Now, Detroit, their angle. Coming off a loss to a very, very good Green Bay Packer team, and it kills me to say that. I don't want to say that. I want to say a mediocre Green Bay Packer team. I want them to suck for many reasons. One, the worse they are, the better pick the Cowboys get. The worse they are, the more I could say, all right, Micah, you should have just taken the damn contract. When you shake hands with a man, that's it. You've shaken hands with the man. Honor the shaking of the hands. Also, the fact that he said he would stay in Dallas for less money to win a championship if they could use that money to acquire more talent. But yet, the deal wasn't good enough. He had to go get a couple more $1 million a year. Now, who am I, the girls, them sugar, to say what's a couple $1 million between friends? But when you look at the state tax implications in Wisconsin versus Dallas and Texas, there's something to be said for that. But he is where he is. We are where we are. Give me the Bears plus the 6.5 as the Nap Sleepy Dog Pick of the Week. All right, guys. So those are the picks. Listen, best of luck. I hope everyone does well in their Survivor pick. I hope everyone does well in fantasy, unless you're going against me, in which I hope your whole team gets injured. Although, with 5 fantasy teams, if your whole team gets injured, that probably means that will affect my other 4 teams. But let's have a great week. Week 1 was awesome. A lot of great games. We didn't even talk. I'm not going to stop. We didn't even talk about the Bills-Ravens game last week. Arguably one of the best regular season football games I've ever watched. It reminds me of the Rams-Chiefs of about 5 years ago. I think that was a Sunday night game. I could look it up, but I won't. That game was phenomenal. This game, I think, takes the cake as the best regular season game I've ever seen. And even the fact that you had everything you wanted to see. I own Derrick Henry in fantasy. He scored 100 points. The league, is Super Mario points. You turn around. It's like you sign your name on the paper in the SAT, you get like 300 points. This, if you can field a healthy lineup, you start with like 100 points. I scored 400 points. Like, that's absurd. But Derrick Henry gave me 100 points. Josh Allen gave me like 90 points. So, you had the Derrick Henry, you had Lamar Jackson, you had a lot of fantasy things going on there. The Buffalo Bills, I mean, Josh Allen, I mean, everything that you wanted. You have the Matt Prater story. I mean, Matt Prater looks like an old guy walking down my block, and he comes in there and he wins the game. It was an awesome game that had something for everybody, unless you're a Ravens fan. But we don't really care about Raven fans because we're not Raven fans over here. But that all being said, even the Monday nighter between the Bears and the Vikings was a great game last week. So there were some great games last week, a lot of intrigue. I mean, Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones going off. I mean, what else do you want to see if you're a Giant fan? You had Saquon 2 years ago. Now you got Danny Dimes this year. Hopefully next year it's Malik Neighbors with, I don't know, maybe the Cowboys. We'll see what happens. But there was a lot of reason to be optimistic about this NFL season. If you're a fan of pretty much anyone, because you can make the case that they got a shot. The league wants parity. I do think we have some this year. The Chiefs losing to the Chargers, which I picked the Chargers. Now going up against the Eagles. I mean, marquee matchup. What else do you want to see in a Week 2 match? Eagles could be 2-0. The Chiefs could be 0-2. That's your Super Bowl rematch. So we'll see what happens there as someone jogs by. But again, hopefully you guys have a great week. Enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in to the Modcast. The more likes and subscribes and notification bells that you guys hit, the more we'll do these. I would love to see the Modcast take off so I could stick it in his face. But we'll see what happens. But again, if you're with us this long, really, really appreciate it. Drop a like, drop a comment. Tell me what you think. What was your worst sports moment as a fan? Mine was when Romo dropped the kick against the Seattle Seahawks, and I left the bar and walked home. That was my heartbreak. I'm also a Met fan, so every week I tune in. There's heartbreak. Let me know what you think. What's your worst moment as a sports fan, and who do you root for? But again, thanks for joining us. We'll see you real soon. And John actually called in his picks today, guys. So we have the Steelers, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Lions, and of course his other team, the Bucks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we'll see you real soon.